Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I am going to be showing you how I planned and designed this very simple bead crochet bangle which has got a invisible join. Okay, so this tutorial is not about showing you the bead crochet stitches, it's about how I designed or how I planned out the layout of this bangle. It's very simple and it doesn't take much of effort. A little bit of calculation is what we need. Actually there are many softwares which when you put in your pattern and designs, or when you give in your suggestions and the number of a circumference and other things, a design will be formed and you can easily look into the chart and make. But this is where everyone may not have access to the software programs. So this is some with some easy calculations with pen and paper itself we can design something of our choice. And the patterns that you want here, there are numerous patterns available on the internet. Free patterns are there, so from that you can choose and use in different sections in your bangle. Okay, so that is what I have done here also, and that is what I am going to show you. The first thing that you need to know when you want to make a bangle with an invisible join is what is the size of the bangle that you are making, or what is the length of the rope that you need in order to join it and make it into a bangle. So usually for a bangle or for a bracelet, the measurement is taken around the wrist. No, sorry, around the hand, on the biggest part of your hand, like this. Okay, see, this part is the biggest part. Let me just show you. Okay, so this part is the biggest part where we have the bones and other stuff. So you can take a measuring tape and measure around your wrist like this. Usually mine will be, I need about 8 inches of rope to make a bangle which will slide onto my hand. But this one I'm going to be making for someone else, so I need only about 7 inches of rope, and I'm going to show you the calculations for 7 inches. Okay, so now we know that the size of the length of, or so let me write it down here. So the length, okay, or the size of the bangle that you want, isn't it? So what is the length or the size that we need? So I told you I'm going to be making, I need 7 inches of bead crochet rope to make it into a bangle. And what is the next thing that you need is the circumference of the tube. Okay, the circumference, as you know, it can vary in number, and the circumference that I have chosen is 6. So the circumference is 6 beads. Okay, so 7 inches of rope with 6 beads on each rope. So with these two information we can find out what is the length of the beads that we should add on to get this length. Okay, so that will be, you have to multiply 7 by 6 times, and when you multiply that you will get 42 inches. So totally you need beads of 42 inches in length in order to make this size bangle. Okay, now, so with that information, let's head over to see how to make the calculations. So I'll make a line indicating the length of the rope that we want. Okay, so this is 0 and this is 42. Okay, isn't it? 42 inches we need. So further, I again divided that into half equally. So half of 42 is 21. So 21 here. And again, each half I again further divided it into 3 equal parts. So when I divide 21 by 7, I will get 7 inches in each section. Okay, so I'm just mentioning that number here. So the first section is 7 inches, this section is also 7 inches, and this is also 7 inches. Likewise, again I divided the other part also into 3 equal sections, and each one also will be again 7, 7 and 7. So this separation or sections that we are making can be according to your according to how you want it, but I am showing you what I made for this bangle. When after I made this, then I wanted the center part of the bangle, see, usually the center part, I wanted it to be a little more in focus. So I wanted this part to be a little, what you say, more visible, and to have some kind of a focal point. Okay, so what I did was, this section in the center, no, this one from here to here, this whole section I decided will be of one pattern. Okay, and when I'm done with this, I'm going to find out what I'll do on the other two sides also. So whatever I do on the left side will also hold good for the right side also. So for the first 7 inches of the rope, I want to make one pattern. Okay, so let me call that as pattern 1. Okay, pattern 1 or part 1, or let me write that in red, so so there is we can differentiate. Pattern 1, and this section of 7 inches, not 7 inches of rope, 7 inches of beads. Okay, so this 7 inches, I don't want to do the same block again, so I want to again make it into smaller blocks. So what I did was, I divided this 7 into two parts. Okay, this one is 5 inches and this one is 2 inches. Okay, so in this 5 inches, I want to make a pattern. Let me call it pattern 2. And in this 2 inches, I want to make another pattern. I'll call it pattern 3. In this part, I want to make another pattern. I'll call it pattern 4. Now, the right side is just the mirror image of the left side. Okay, so again here, the first 7 inches, I have to divide it into two parts. Okay, one is of 2 inches, which will be the same as part 3, right? So it will be part 3, or we can also call it as part 5 also. And this one will be 5 inches, the same as this. This will be part 2, or we can call it as part 6 also. And the last one is again 7 inches, which will be the same as part 1, or we'll call it as part 7. Okay, so I divided into this, and now I know that each part of this will be a different pattern. But instead of choosing patterns here, I have just chosen solid colors. Just for the tutorial it will be easy, so I have just chose only solid colors. Now what I will do is, instead of having solid colors everywhere, I just wanted a little bit design on either side of it here. So that is this one, a little bit of design. So what I did was, I went on the internet, and when you look at free patterns on the internet like this, the circumference and the bead stringing order will be mentioned on the pattern. You will get many free patterns with 6 bead circumference, and you'll get the bead the pattern for putting on the beads will be already given in the free pattern, so you can choose one of them. So the pattern that I chose was a very simple pattern, and it goes like this: 8 beads of A color and 1 bead of B color. So that is this one, this pattern. So I thought, okay, let me do with this one. Okay, or we start like this. Okay, this was the first pattern that I chose. So 8 of A and 1 of B. And now the colors, I have to choose the colors. So the colors that I chose was, so 8 of white and 1 of red. Okay, so for 7 inches of the thread, I will be putting on the beads in this order. Now then, after putting on for 7 inches, I'll move to the next pattern. So the next pattern is for 5 inches, pattern 2. So instead of choosing any other pattern, I just went with solid color. So my choice was using a solid black. So for 5 inches, I am going to be putting on black beads only. For 2 inches, only for these 2 inches and 2 inches on this side, see, this is just like a bead cover or something, or edges like this. So I wanted both of them a little more dramatic, so I chose to put gold there. So for 2 inches, I'll put on gold beads. Okay, and for the main center part here, which I could have chosen a little more more designs I could have chosen, but I chose to have just a solid color here. So for 14 inches, so 7 plus 7, see, 7 inches on this side and 7 inches on this side. So for 14 inches I'll be putting on only red color beads, then followed by 2 inches of only gold color beads. So here it will be gold. So here I forgot to write, it will be red beads. For 2 inches gold. For 5 inches, here this one. So here it was black, but here, see, here it was black, but here I decided just to have a change of color. So I decided that part will be white. And for the last part here I did 8 white and 1 red. So what I did here was I did 8 red and 1 white, that is this one. Just what you call exchange of colors only. Okay, so I chalked out everything like this, and I took out all my beads and started threading it on, and now I'll show you how it goes. Okay, before you keep this safely, and also instead of having all these lots of numbers here, just make a note on paper. Okay, for 7 inches you're going to do this pattern, for 5 inches black, 2 inches gold, 14 inches red. So if you just write it down like that, it will be more easier. So let's go over and see how I put on the beads, and I'll show you each time how you have to measure and how you have to do the rest of the calculations. Sorry, there are no more calculations anymore. So you just put on the beads, measure it, and start working. And like as usual, I always use a starter rope. Okay, or you can also call it as the starter kit, or um, um, what else can we name it? I call it starter rope. Okay, starter tool also it can be called. So I chose a starter rope which was 6 beads in circumference. See, you can see the 6 beads here. Take off this, you can see 6 beads here. So I used this and started working my bead crochet row, and then after I finished making or using up all the beads, then I removed it, detached it from here, and I joined it invisibly. Next, let me show you how to string on the beads according to the pattern that we have made. So I've chosen cotton thread here, which is appropriate for the beads I'm using, and I put on a needle onto the spool of thread. So part 1 is 8 white and 1 red for 7 inches. So in this order I have to string on the beads. So I've already done that here, and let's measure and see what is the length of that. So hold the beads that you have put on and measure, and it is 7 inches. Okay, so after 7 inches we will move to the next pattern. So before that, let's just count and check 8 of white and 1 of red. So similarly you will put it in the same order for 7 inches. So part 2 is just black beads for 5 inches. So which is easier, there is no pattern. So you'll keep stringing after you finish the first part, you will continue stringing the black beads for 5 inches. Okay, after you string on for 5 inches, you will measure it, and once you are sure, we'll move on to part 3. Part 3 is just gold beads for 2 inches, no pattern, just solid color, so just 2 inches of gold. Part 4 is red beads only for 14 inches. So after you finish the gold, then we'll move on to red, only red, no pattern. Okay, so measure it, and when you reach 14 inches of beads, you'll stop. Part 3 and part 5 are the same. Okay, so again it will be gold for 2 inches. And part 2 and part 6 are the same, but instead of black I planned for white here. So for 5 inches I'll be adding white beads. So measure it on the inch tape or against the black that you have already done, and keep it to 5 inches. Part 1 and part 7 are the same. which is 8 white and 1 red, but the only difference here is I am going to be interchanging the colors. So instead of 8 white, it will be 8 red and 1 white. So for 7 inches, I will be sticking on in this order. So once you have put on all the beads, now it is time for us to measure the total length of the beads that we have added, and we have to make sure that it is 42 inches. So keep it all together. I am just doing it in double, and my needle is still on the spool. I have not taken out the needle yet, and the beads should be on the spool. Do not cut the thread anywhere now. So the needle is still there because I am going to be adding these extra beads which will be detached later. I am using the starter rope method, so I will be putting on 6 beads because it's the circumference of the rope. So 6 beads plus another extra bead, so 7 extra beads will be added here, which are going to be later detached, but it should be of a different color so we can identify it when it's time for us to detach it. So let me start measuring the total length of the beads. Okay, so I am holding the beads in double just for convenience sake, and the length that I get is 21 inches. So 21 plus 21, because this is in double, it will be 42 inches. Our original plan, like I told you, was supposed to be 42, so we have 42 inches. So now let's start crocheting now. Okay, to start crocheting, just putting all the beads away, and I'm bringing in my starter rope. The detailed tutorial of how to use the starter rope and how to continue working and also how to detach it after you finish your work is in another video. I'll put up the link for that in the description box, and meanwhile you might also want to look at my other bead crochet tutorials, which has got very valuable information also. So continue like this in bead crochet slip stitches in spiral, and see, this is the progress so far, and it is still attached to the starter rope. So here I am now when I have completed crocheting all the beads that I put on. Okay, and so this is the pattern that I let me keep the tape away. So this is the pattern that I planned for, and this is how it has come out, and I am very happy with this. So without any further delay of talking, so let's take it out from the starter tube now. So to if this method of you starting a rope with the starter rope is new to you, you might have to head on to the detailed tutorial that I have for you of how to detach this from the starter rope. So I will link that in the description box, which will be helpful for you now. After I detached the starter rope, so these are the two ends that I have, and see, the first bead and the last bead that we crocheted into will be joined together like this, and an invisible join will be made. Again, the tutorial for making an invisible join is in another video, so the link again will be in the description box. So once the invisible join is made, so this is how your bangle will be, and when you are sure that you have ended the thread properly, you can cut off the thread and enjoy your bangle. Thank you so much for giving me your time and for supporting me. I appreciate all your comments and your suggestions. Thank you once again, and please do share and like this video, and also support me and follow me on Instagram. Thank you.